Hello, hello, and welcome. We are going to be going through a book together in our, or my at least, very first book club discussion situation. I don't know what else to call it. I don't know if it's a book club. I don't know if we're going to do it all the time, but it's definitely a discussion. And we're going to be discussing this book right here, UOU by Dr. Eric Thomas. And I am thoroughly excited to go through this book. Now, I want to kind of tell you the reason that I chose this book before we kind of start to dive into it. And then also how you can expect to kind of follow along. Now, I think that traditionally with book clubs, you're supposed to actually have the book. And if I am being very honest with you, the chapter titles are worth discussions by themselves. So I am very confident that it is worth just jumping on for the conversation. It's worth just jumping on to have your mind try to think outside of the box. It's worth jumping on, just trying to remember how hard it is to overcome obstacles, but also understanding that you can overcome them. I think it's worth jumping on because the more positivity you put out in the world, the more you get back. I'm very confident if you go looking for good things, you go looking for positivity, you go looking for success, you are going to find those things. And sometimes it just takes someone reminding you, reminding us, that we have to put forth that effort. We naturally just trend negative. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's negative. Maybe that's not a fair terminology. We naturally trend towards protective mode. How about that? We naturally trend toward wanting to protect, ourselves and our family. And so we think about all the bad things that could happen, and we're trying to protect everyone, everything from all the bad things that could happen. But on the vice versa of that, I don't think you have to walk through your life in fear. I think you can walk through your life in expectation of good things to come. And I think, again, the more you put that out there, the more likely it is that you find those good things. So I'm really excited to just take a few weeks here to have some conversations about what we can do to continue to move ourselves forward towards success. But also, if we have people who are in our care, how we can help them see that they can overcome their obstacles as well. So, I think the only other thing I'm going to say before we dive into the introduction is the first time that I heard of Dr. Thomas was actually from one of my former athletes. I don't know how many of you have participated in athletics before, or how many of you know very much about me, but my former life is as a collegiate runner. I was a track and field sprinter back in the day. And then after finishing my career, there, I went on to teach preschool for a while before finding an opportunity to coach at the collegiate level. And I remember sitting with one of my athletes, and she was like, "Oh, you got to listen to this guy." And so I'm like, "Yeah, all right, I'll listen." And I listened to what I know to be a very viral video. If you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, I will link that for you below. If you've never seen it, please watch it. I consider myself to be someone who's extremely optimistic. I am absolutely the person who's like, hey, if you want to grow wings and fly, like, let's do it. Like, let's go after it. And I feel very non-biased, I guess, is the best I can explain it. As a former coach, I would have conversations, very thorough conversations with every single one of my athletes, and I didn't care what their goals were. I wasn't there to tell them left, right, black, or blue. I would just ask them what their goals were, and we would start putting together a plan to go forward to achieve those goals. And so you have to be positive. You have to have a very open mindset. You have to be willing to take some losses and go back to the drawing board and do it again. And I remember listening to this speech for the very first time. If you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you will be successful. And it's just something about the way that it was presented, something about the tone of his voice just sounded so genuine. And it also just made you want to reevaluate whatever nonsense you were putting out into the world, to try to do better, to try to be better. It was a reminder to my athletes who I think this particular athlete had spread it everywhere at that point in time, because we were on our way to a track meet at that point in time. And it was just a reminder like, hey, you say you want to be successful. You say you want to do this thing, but how bad do you actually want it? Are you just saying it because it's the cool thing to do? Are you saying it because you think it's going to impress somebody else? Or is this something that you're really passionate about? And if you are really passionate about it, then what are you going to do to get there? And really, I was just blown away by how, again, genuine this message felt from somebody I have never met before. So again, I chose this book, which I haven't read yet. So I'm excited to go through it with you over the next couple of weeks. But I chose this book because I'm hoping that there is just some words of wisdom, something that speaks to us all. I will preface, from what I know about Dr. Thomas, and I'll just show you the book one more time. I do know that he is a man of religion. I'm not expecting the story to be religious, and even if so, like I said, the chapter titles are good enough for discussion, and we will discuss those. And also, I know him to be a great encourager. I know him to be a fan of education. Not personally, no, but just what I know of him. And I know him to be a Black man in America. So I know that sometimes it's kind of hard to have discussions about race, neither here nor there. I don't expect it to be heavily racially driven either. But at the same time, I am going to assume that he's going to tell his story a little bit. And I don't think that he grew up in the same time I grew up. Yes, I'm calling him old, but I don't know him, so it's neither here nor there. Just older than I am, which means that his story is it's going to be a little bit different, and the story of his family is going to be a little bit different. And I'm excited to kind of just dive into all of that, while also just talking about his successes, because I'm pretty confident this story is gotta be I started from the bottom. Now I'm here. Started from the bottom. Now we're here. Okay, let's jump into the introduction. So this video will be the introduction, and then the next video will go over chapter 1 and chapter 2. So if you haven't got the book yet, and if you don't have the book, by the time we go over chapter 1 and chapter 2, it's going to take us about 6 weeks to go through this. No big deal. I encourage you to hang out with me for the intro, hang out with me for chapter 1 and chapter 2. And if you like what you see and like what you hear, go get the book so that you can continue to follow along, or just follow along. Okay. Intro. The first chapter here is called "You Are the Only One Who Can Change Your Life." You are the only one who can change your life. According to the author, this book is pretty much written for you. It's a manual to help you understand your power and your purpose. And he tried to make it a guide to illustrate some of his own personal struggles, what he's gone through in his life, as well as telling you about all of his triumphs, which I think is really, really cool. What I got from this intro and what we're going to be diving into is the importance of pursuing your purpose, your goals, without any intervention from anything or anyone else. I think that we kind of get into habits, we kind of get comfortable over time. And I never actually thought that would happen to me. Like when I was younger, I was like the most optimistic person in the world. I could do all the things. Like I could never just settle on one thing because I'm like, I'm going to try this and I'm going to try this and I'm going to do this now and I'm going to try this and I'm going to be good at this. And, you know, it does get to a point where you kind of just, some of those things start to wane away and you kind of just get into a habit and a flow of doing the same thing over and over again. But you are never too old or too young to have a goal. You're never too old or too young to pursue something. You're never too old or too young to change course. You're never too old or too young to pursue your passion. And I think that is absolutely crucial information and kind of what he's getting across in this book. He says, wherever you are on your journey toward greatness, wherever you are on your journey towards greatness, I guess you have to believe, like, are you on a journey of greatness? And if not, why not? Like, why not be on a journey of greatness? First, I'm here to tell you that you are a living, breathing, walking miracle, and you deserve all the great things. So wherever you are on your journey towards greatness, he wants you to know that you should stop waiting. Stop waiting for the, okay, it's time for you to do this. Just jump in, and jump in with reckless abandon and jump in with abundance, of confidence, because you're worth it. You're worth it. I think that the next part that really stood out to me was, and what he said was not worrying so much about what other people are thinking. And the more I started to just reflect on past experiences, how often we run into situations in which we are making decisions based on what other people think. I don't know how many times people have asked me, what do you think? What do you think? And all of my soul is like, it doesn't even matter what I think. And I think most of the time, and I'm kind of outing myself, but I just go with whatever they originally say. You know, if somebody asks me what they think about a situation, you know, and they've already come up with this solution, you know, you're having the conversation, you're having the solution, you're just looking for someone to agree with you. And I'm like, I'm your person. Like, one, I probably didn't listen to what you had to say. Two, I already know that you have the solution. Just go forth. Just have the, you know, courage to put forth in action whatever it is you already have for a solution, and not worry about what other people think. Don't worry about what other people say. If you are worried about what other people are thinking, what other people are saying, that's going to influence you on your path to whatever is your definition of greatness. And I don't think that's fair to you. I think it is okay to ask for advice. It is okay to, you know, chat with people, because I am going to make the assumption that we're not the only people in the world who are on our paths to greatness, that other people have done things that we want to do. And so there's no shame in wanting to get advice or encouragement from other people. But if you're looking for someone else to, you know, tell you that you're doing the right thing, I don't know if we need to wait for anybody else. I think that you can have a desire, a passion, and move forward in that direction. On page 3 here, it says, you know, it's about getting up every day, understanding your power, walking in your purpose, knowing what you want, and spending every minute of the rest of your life going after it. You know, I don't know that there are many people in my life who want to do the things that I have wanted to do, and that's okay. That's not going to stop me, and I'm not going to second guess going towards my goals, my dreams. Another big part of this first just introduction, which he hits home several times, is no longer playing the victim card. And I have a feeling that he's going to dive further into that statement. I got a very heavy dose of it in the first few pages here. So I'm not going to go too much further in that, but I want you to think of how many times have you played the victim card? And if you haven't, how many times have you heard someone else who has played the victim card? And I guess for me, the biggest question is, how do I convince someone who is playing the victim card to stop playing the card? Like, can we burn the card, throw it away, rip it up, something? I don't know. The victim card does not lead you to success. The victim card just leads you to being the victim. So I thought that was really, again, really heavy in the first couple of words here in the introduction, and I have a feeling we'll probably dive a little bit more into that as we move forward. He also kind of starts to take us briefly through his journey. And I think really, again, the most important part is, figuring out what your goals are, figuring out what your passion is, living in your greatness, understanding that you are great first and foremost, and living in that greatness. He starts to kind of tell us a little bit about his history, but really he's just like, hey, if you have this book, he says, if you have this book, you owe it to yourself to be great. You owe it to yourself, and you must be thinking about, making that leap of greatness if you picked this book up, which hopefully you are. I know that I get excited when I'm talking about positive things. So I'm excited about taking the leap forward. Hopefully you're excited about taking the leap forward. That is going to be it for the first edition of the UOU Book Club discussion. We'll be back in a couple of days here with the overview of Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. If you guys have any additional comments or questions for me, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you here soon. All right, take care. Bye.